remember to chock your tires, because you don't want the car rolling. Once you got your front wheels chocked, slide the jack underneath the car onto the differential. Make sure your bleeder valve is closed and start pumping the car up. You're going to want to chock the back axle as well. Put something sturdy like a tire underneath in case it falls. You're going to want to go into your glove box if it's a Mustang, and then press the yellow button to open the trunk. Inside the trunk, you'll find two strut towers. They're in the middle of the back end over the wheel on the left and right side. You'll see a nut, and when you turn the nut, if you turn it to the left, lefty-loosey, the nut will come off. And when you take the nut off, you'll have to remove the washer, the rubber gasket, and if you have a strut tower bar, you'll have to remove that. So do this for both sides. In my case, I have a strut tower bar. If you have a strut tower bar or any other frame supports, pull it straight up off the pins. Now you're going to want to get underneath the car. Make sure it's properly supported before you get underneath a 3,000-pound crushing machine. So once it's properly supported, you're going to want to find the bolt for the lower part of the strut. Once you get to that bolt, you put a wrench on the back of it, support it against a piece of metal on the car, and then turn it with a socket wrench. It'll look a little bit like this once you get it out. Once it drops, just let it sit. Now that you have the top and the bottom of the strut loose, it's free to just pop right out. It does have some pressure on it, so you might need to raise the car or lower the car. In my instance, I didn't have to because I have small wheels on right now. But if you need to raise the car to depressurize it, just restabilize the car and put bigger chucks underneath to hold the weight better. So now you'll do the same thing on the other side. I have the other one pulled out, so all we gotta do is just unbolt this side, like so. You'll have to note how my wrench is. You see the wrench on the left, that's holding the bolt, and the other one is holding the nut. Once that's loose, all you gotta do is pop it right out. So here's a good strut versus a bad strut. This bad one on the left, it's been through the war. And then the one on the right is my brand new strut. It's a high-performance strut. You'll note how the rubber bushing is off of the left one, going to be used in the right one. And the center cap there. You have to rearrange the bushings so they're the same as the car came with. Because this one's a universal strut, you'll need to make sure that your bushings are the right way. That top bushing, the one with the cone on the end, will not fit. So it'll have to be messed with. So here's the good look at the two struts. We have the ends of which are slightly different, so you have to grind down the surface metal on the new strut to get it to fit perfectly. You'll note that I'm using quick, brisk swipes on the angle grinder just to get the surface metal off so it's slightly smoother. I would suggest greasing it as well. So now we have a smaller fitting. All you gotta do is pop it in the hole on the top of the strut tower. And once it gets poked in, you might want a buddy to screw in the top while you pressurize it. Because this is a new strut, it's going to be really difficult to pressurize. It takes almost 150 pounds of force to do it. So I'm really struggling to try to get this thing in. You can use a jack. If you take another jack, like the blue one on, like holding the car, you can take that and pressurize it with the force of that. Once you get the jack inside the hole, then you can just bolt it in like so. Just do the opposite of the first step. Once you have both sides tightened up, you're going to want to tighten up the strut tower as well. Both sides of the strut towers are the exact same, so it's the same process. All you gotta do is just tighten up the nut on the top of the big washer on top, and make sure that your rubber boot tightens up a lot. When you can't turn it no more, then you know it's tight enough to drive down the road. Remember to lower your car before you start driving off. To do this, all you have to do is take the red rod, it could be any color on your jack, and then just put it in the bleeder valve, the bottom left spiky thing that pokes out, and then turn it to the left, and that'll slowly lower your car. Don't turn it right at once because your car will slam down, but turn it really slowly. And now you know how to replace your rear struts. The front struts are basically the same idea, it's just most of them have 2 bolts, and they're not exactly the same shape. If you have a rear-wheel drive car, it's the same as this on every single one. But if you have a front-wheel drive car, it'll be slightly different, because you won't have a rear differential, and you can't really jack from the back axle. So what you'll have to end up doing is find a solid metal support, or a frame rail that runs on the back of the car to latch the jack onto.